Hello, my name is Coach Swindle, and I am the head coach of the Willow Creek Middle School track team. This video is to give you some information about the 2021 track season and how we are going to proceed with COVID and COVID restrictions. Just a lot of information I'm going to give you. Obviously, if you have any questions after watching this video, feel free to email me. I will try to respond to those as quickly as possible. You could also email our AD, Doug Johnson. Or if you know any of my assistant coaches, you can email them and they will get you the answers that you're looking for. So like I said, just going to go through a bunch of information to get us started here so that we can get this season started and run it as smoothly as possible. The first thing that needs to be discussed is how you can sign your child up for 2021 Willow Creek track. And the way you're going to do that is there will be a sign-up sheet, a Google form that will be coming through Schoology. Filling out that sheet will sign them up for the track season. There are a few questions about name and grade and gender, just so we can kind of get to know the kids and get some numbers. There are also a couple questions that deal with how your child will be getting home from practices and from away meets when we have those. So if you could take 30 seconds to fill that out, it doesn't take very long. Filling that out, submitting that will give us an idea of numbers so that we can kind of do some planning on our end. The other thing with that sign-up sheet is that needs to be done before February 26th. That will be the last day that we will be taking sign-ups, names for the track season. So February 26th is the cutoff date for that. Anything after that, they will not be allowed to run track in 2021. So physicals. Let's talk physicals. Some of your kids have already gotten physicals. They've already done a sport here at Willow Creek. They will be fine. If they already have a physical, then they're covered for this school year. They don't have to go out and get a new one. If your child has never received a physical for the school year, then they're going to need to get one of those before the start of track practice. We cannot allow them to run without a physical on file. You can do that through North Shore. You can do that through a family physician, but we need to have that on file in the main office before we can allow your child to run track. And that tends to be our biggest hang-up when we do these types of things is kids that don't have physicals. So I would try to take care of that as soon as possible. Try to get in there as quickly as possible and get that taken care of because, like I said, we cannot allow them to run without a physical. Next is the fact that we are not going to have an activity bus this year. I know in years past we've been able to give kids rides home after practice with our 2 activity buses. That is not going to be offered this year due to COVID and some other things. So you will be responsible for finding a way to get your child home after practice. Either picked up, carpool, however you choose to do that, but there will not be an activity bus offered this year. If that's going to be a problem, it may be a situation where your child just can't do 2021 track, unfortunately. The other thing is kids need to be out of the building by 4:30. I know in years past we've kind of been lenient with that because we weren't going through what we're going through now, but we just can't have a bunch of kids hanging around. At 4:30, coaches will be leaving. At 4:30, we will be doing a kind of a sweep and making sure all the kids have left the building. So by 4:30, these kids need to be picked up and taken home after practices. First one is there will be a set of health screening questions that they will have to answer every day before they come to the school. It's a set of 4 questions dealing with COVID and COVID symptoms that they'll need to answer, like I said, before they get to practice. We are asking that those are filled out by 2 o'clock. We as coaches, we're also teachers, so we don't have time to kind of bounce back and forth and always look at that health screening sheet. So if you fill it out by 2 o'clock, it makes it easier on us to see who filled them out and who didn't fill them out. Those questions need to be taken very serious. That is our way of kind of keeping kids that have symptoms of COVID away from kids that are symptom-free. If they answer a certain way to those questions, if they are exhibiting symptoms of COVID, they need to stay home. They do not need to come to practice. We do not want to see them in practice. If they have symptoms of COVID, we want to keep them away from kids that are, like I said, symptom-free. So please take a look at those. Those will be given out through Schoology. I know some of the kids have already gone through the process, so they're pretty familiar with it, but we'll have those posted and available to the kids, and those need to be filled out, like I said, every single day. They will have their temperature taken when they arrive at practice. They will not be allowed to enter practice until that temperature is taken. Parents, you need to wait until we have taken that temperature. Don't drop your kid off and then just take off. If you could wait just in case they are exhibiting a fever and we have to send them home, that way they'll have a ride home and won't have to sit around and wait and call a parent and all that stuff. So when you drop them off, you just wait for a coach to take their temperature before you leave. That would be great. They also need to bring their own water. We will not have access to the building. We will not have access to the water fountains. So they'll need to have their own water with them, be it a water bottle, whatever, water jug, whatever they decide to bring. But they do need to have some water, especially with track, since we are going to be running and jumping and doing all these things. They're going to need some water. Otherwise, it's not going to be very pretty practice. So, and then they'll have to have a mask. They'll have to stay masked the entire time. They're waiting around for practice to begin while we're doing stretches and drills. The only time they will be able to remove their mask is when we're actually running and doing our workout. Other than that, they'll have to have a mask on. So make sure that they have water, mask, they've answered the questions by 2 o'clock, and then you wait around to have their temperature taken, and that'll be good. Expectations. We have very high expectations for our athletes here at Willow Creek Middle School, both virtual and kids that are here in the building. And it begins with behavior. Okay, they need to be getting to class on time. They need to be behaving when they are in class, listening and doing what the teacher's asking them to do. If they're here in the building, they need to be behaving in the cafeteria, the hallways. We look at behavior quite a bit. Like I said, all the coaches are teachers as well, so we have a pretty good handle on that. And teachers know that these kids are running track, so they come to us if there are any behavior issues. And then grades. Okay, these kids need to be getting their work done in the classroom. Uniforms. 8th grade, I believe, is the last grade level that has the old uniforms that we used for the past 4 or 5 years. We will be we will be offering new uniforms this year. We're trying to transition away from the old uniforms into new uniforms. So 6th and 7th graders will have to purchase a new uniform. That uniform is going to be $35. It is a much nicer uniform than the old ones. It's more track-based. So they will be able to purchase those. We will get information out to that once we get an idea of who's going to be on the track team. 8th grade has the option to purchase those, or they can run in the old uniforms. So we'll give that option to everybody, but 8th grade will be able to run in their old uniforms if they would like. The rest will have to purchase a uniform. Those uniforms, the nice thing is you can use them for all 3 years of track. So if you're a 6th grader doing track for the first time, that uniform will be good up until you graduate and get out of Willow Creek Middle School. It'll be up good through 8th grade. If your child also runs cross country, the good thing is that we're going to use the same uniform for cross country as well. So if they're a 6th grader that did or is planning on doing cross country, 7th and 8th grade, they'll actually have a uniform for 5 sports seasons here at Willow Creek Middle School, which is kind of nice. So that's how uniforms are going to go. We'll get more information out about that as well. Like I said, this has just some introductory stuff so that parents know what to expect. In terms of practices, we are going to alternate practices, meaning that one day boys will come in, the next day girls will come in. That will allow us to kind of keep separate as best we can. So we'll have alternating practices. We will let you know once we get a handle on who's going to be on the track team. We will let you know what days boys are supposed to come, what day girls are supposed to come, and we'll make that very clear. We'll send out calendars and update parents on that quite a bit. Practices, like I said, they'll be masked up until we do our workout. So anytime that we are not working out, they will have their mask on. They will be as socially distanced as we can out on the track. Obviously, when we're working with a group of 5 or 6 kids, we can't really social distance those guys all the time. Okay, they're going to be around some kids from time to time when working with coaches, but we will do the best to socially distance. It is outside, which is nice. Gives us a little more space to move around and do those types of things. In the event of inclement weather, storms are on the horizon. It looks like it's going to storm. It looks like it could get ugly. We don't have the option to practice inside like we have in years past. There's just no way to socially distance at that point. So if we get an issue where weather could become a problem, we will probably end up canceling practice and paying attention to Schoology, paying attention to the different social media outlets that Willow Creek offers. That will be a way to kind of know if practice is canceled or not. We'll do announcements if they're here, but for virtual kids, paying attention to Schoology probably be the best bet. So that's how practice are going to go. Once again, more information will be coming out about that once we get a handle on numbers and see what we're looking at. And then the last thing I want to talk about is how meets are going to look. Meets will look a little bit different because it's not going to be, a huge group of fans or gathering of fans and kids. We'll be limited as to how many fans can go to each away meet and to our home meets. We'll be also limited to the number of participants that we can have in those meets, in those different events. It's going to be limited this year. We can't have everybody going. So it's going to be kind of more like a varsity JV type system like they have at the high school. Once again, more information will be coming out about that as we go. Obviously, a lot is still kind of up in the air just because we don't have a handle on numbers. Once we get a handle on numbers, that will give us a better idea of what we're looking at, what we can do. So I just wanted to get some introductory information out to you. Like I said, please email if you have any questions. The biggest thing, get a physical and fill out that Google form once that's available to you on Schoology. So hopefully your students will be running for us for the track season. Looking forward to a good season, albeit a kind of different type of season, but pretty excited to get this thing going. So hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.